Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here today. And today I'm going to be talking specifically about how to grow your ortho office here at Dentist Nerds. We really specialize in what Fazella said, growing things organically and through very high quality content. So I prepared something for you guys to look at today that's going to help you really understand the marketing landscape of how we market orthodontic practices and overall marketing your ortho practices, new patient acquisition for ortho practices is going to be very different than how we do it with GP offices, how we do it with endo offices, how we do it with pediatric offices. And I'm going to go into that in more detail. But first, I'm going to provide some interesting statistics for you to look at. The first thing is that ortho is a growing industry. In fact, by 2027, we're predicted that the ortho industry is going to grow by 10%, meaning right now there's about 11,000 practices in the US specific to only orthodontics. We expect that this is going to be closer to 13,000. So more people are electing to become orthodontists. And out of those orthodontists, more people are wanting to become practice owners themselves. Now, why is marketing really important in orthodontics? For one, the market itself, in terms of how much revenue is going to be generated, the market share and the market size, right now, or I'm sorry, as of 2023, that number was about 18.94, and then that is going to be going up to above $44 billion by the mid 2030s. So the ortho market is truly becoming mainstream healthcare. So for a long time, it was considered something that was optional that people would elect into. But now, with the ability to finance and with the ability to get treatment and all the other different options that are available, it's becoming mainstream healthcare, and more people are electing to do orthodontics just as importantly as they do going to their normal dental practices for 6 month cleanings. And in fact, there's a lot of people who are talking about doing ortho despite the fact that they don't regularly go to their normal dentist. And I think a lot of that has to do with the comfortability as well as the immediate impact that orthodontics gives to patients. So, what we're going to focus on with marketing is how we can attract new patients, how we can build brand awareness, how we can provide valuable information to people that are looking to work with your practice, how we can strengthen internal referral networks, and ultimately increase patient engagement with your practice too, increasing patient engagement even when your patients aren't actually physically in your chairs. So next, let's understand some consumer behavioral trends. More people are electing for aesthetic treatments, and obviously that comes with the growth of clear aligners. Patients are looking for something that's convenient, that has shorter treatment times, and even teledentistry. I've been seeing more ortho and GP practices offering video calls where you can have some type of deposit put down and a doctor can look at and examine your teeth through the phone, and they're electing to do that first before they even step into an office. So that is becoming a bigger trend. And we'll talk a little about how you can even get there to the point where you can have patients that are looking to do that with you. And then ultimately, more and more adults are seeking orthodontic care. I think for a long time, we've seen orthodontics as something that was more geared towards children and teenagers, but it's becoming more and more trendy for adults to want to do these things, especially when it comes to clear aligners. Now, ortho is really predicated on long-term relationships. We know that the average time of ortho treatment is between 12 to 36 months. So we have to try to get someone to want to work with our practice and trust us and build rapport with them so that they know that we are the best option for their treatments. Next, let's talk a little bit about the consumer. So there's a different marketing strategy for each age range and each demographic. For instance, with children, we know that they typically go with traditional metal braces. With teens, they probably want something that's more customizable. A lot of teenagers want to get metal braces because they want to be able to choose which color that they do. And with adults, and working professionals, they're going more for Invisalign, clear braces, or even lingual braces. So we see that clear aligners is for sure going to become a bigger factor in the young adults all the way to middle-aged adults that are seeking ortho treatment just because they don't want it to be so pronounced. And with the increase in technological advancements, there's more ways for us to treat patients through clear aligners as well. So I'm going to be going through the steps of success for you as you're thinking to market your orthodontics practice. The first thing is if you haven't invested in one yet, really think about your branding. These are examples of logos and brands that we have developed here at Dentist Nerds. Some of them are not necessarily ortho related, but what the main thing to know is your brand and your name have to really reflect the type of patient demographic you're going for, as well as get an understanding what it's like to come to your practice. So some brands are going to really focus on luxury. They're going to really focus on trying to come up with something that is high quality, while other brands are going to focus on being very family oriented, on being very oriented towards being inviting and allowing all different types of patients to come into their practice. So, first, we have to find what is the right brand that reflects for you and what is the right name that reflects for you. What I see a lot of practices doing correctly is they'll call their practice Dr. So and so's office. And, the picture of them will be the showcasing on the top of their business, their online presence. I really refrain from that. I think it's important to have a memorable name, design a professional logo, have some type of catchy tagline just because you want people to be thinking about your brand and not so much the doctor in case you do decide to have associates in your practice, or if you want people to just recognize the brand image, even if they can't pronounce the doctor's name or don't even know what the doctor looks like. Ultimately, your social media presence is going to be much more focused on your patients than the doctor itself. So you want the patient's referrals coming straight from the brand. Next, we're going to talk about web design, why it's important. The main thing I want you to get out of this, and I'm going to be sharing my screen here. This is one of our clients, Orthodontics in Woodland Hills. And what you'll notice here is for every type of ortho treatment, we have a page for it. So for orthodontics, we're talking about early ortho, adolescent ortho, ortho for adults, two-phase treatment. For braces, we give the option of clear braces and metal braces. For Invisalign, we're distinguishing that between teens and adults. And then we're talking about dental facial orthopedics, impacted canines, palatal expanders. You want your website to showcase everything that your practice does and that you provide because you want to stand out from the rest of the ortho practices. So that is extremely important that you showcase these are all the treatments that I do. So if people are searching for those treatments, your website stands out. And this super helps with SEO. You might know this as search engine optimization, because if you're standing out for specific keywords and other practices aren't, you're going to win those patients that are looking for that. Think of your website as a digital storefront. It is your practice, your chairs, and the internet that people will actually go to your website more often than they come in to become a patient. Next, I'm going to talk about reputation management. Nowadays, probably one of the most cost-effective ways to grow your practice is through online reviews. One way of doing that is certainly through getting Google and Yelp reviews. Another way of doing this is to record patient testimonials and have people speak on camera about their experiences. So for a long time, we always talk about I grew my practice through word of mouth, right? People would always say word of mouth is the best possible way to grow a practice. But there's a new word of mouth, and that new word of mouth is online reviews. And it's also patient testimonials because I might tell you, hey, I know a great place to do orthodontic treatment, but then you do your search, and there's not many reviews, uh, and there's not a lot of information about the practice. You might not choose that over someone else that's also in the area that has tons of reviews and tons of information and a great online presence. So here is an example. This is a testimonial page and let it load. What I do with my clients is I make sure that we're consistently recording video testimonies of patients who have had a really positive experience with us. And you can see this page is just flooded with reviews, flooded with testimonials. This is great. When you have over 20, 30 video testimonials, people who have some anxiety about which provider to go with, they will choose you just because they want to know that other people have had a positive experience with coming to your practice. Next, we're going to talk a lot about organic search and SEO. This is still very important. A lot of people are saying SEO is becoming less of a factor. And what I would say to that is maybe search engine is becoming less of a factor, but search everywhere is still a huge thing. We're going to talk a little bit about how ChatGPT is starting to play into the mix, how you need to rank on multiple different search engines and not just Google. But ultimately, search is probably the way that has the highest conversion. In fact, 76% of people who are looking for any local business say that from the time they searched and found who they want to go to, they're going in within 24 hours. So the way we really optimize for that is certainly your Google business profile, creating location specific pages, conducting a lot of keyword research. We'll do on page and off page web optimization. And I'll give you an example here about how important search is. So here, I just looked up braces in Woodland Hills. And if I was living in Woodland Hills, that's a very normal search term. If I had a child, I would be looking for who is the best option for braces. You'll notice here, these are Google verified ads. These are the most expensive ads that you can put into Google. If I call this number, sometimes the call itself could cost up to $100. So whoever's on the phone has to be really strong at conversion. And then here you'll see Google Ads, but take a look at the top of Google Places. This is or Google Maps. Despite the fact that my client has less reviews than the rest, there's certain strategies that we employ to get them ranked at the top of Google Maps. On top of that, for Google Search, my client also ranks number 1 for Google Search. So whether it's braces, orthodontics, Invisalign, early orthodontics, what we do at Dentist Nerds is ensure that our clients are always ranking at the top and beating the competition in their local cities. Next, I'll talk about advertising design and strategy. It's been said that about 90% of people who run ads, specifically Google ads, actually don't make their money back. And the reason for this is because they don't have a good strategy. If you're running ads and you're pointing all of the ad traffic towards your normal website, you're doing things wrong. And this is what most dental marketing companies are doing nowadays. Ads can be an incredibly effective way to get new patients, but there has to be a way that you convert them. So, we're going to be talking about an example of a landing page with you guys, and a landing page that we develop in order to capitalize on that market. So, here you're going to see someone might go on Facebook or they might go on Instagram, and they might not necessarily be searching for orthodontic providers, but they know that they've been shopping for they've been in the back of their head, they've been thinking about Invisalign and braces. And luckily, with the data that we have nowadays on Meta, we're able to know who the target demographic is to really pinpoint that. So in this case, we'll have a video that'll actually go through the doctor. This is Dr. Zarania of Orthodontics in Woodland Hills talking about different brace or ortho options with patients that have not booked an appointment or even heard of him before.
Dr. Zurini, I'm going to show you the different options for orthodontic treatment. Our practice is in Woodland Hills. Normally, you have a few different options when you are treating each patient. The traditional braces are like metal braces that has evolved quite a bit actually. And what we do, the type of wires that we are using very light forces. The light forces has been proven that could move the teeth a lot easier because if you use heavy forces, the heavy forces could cause damage to the roots of the teeth. For individuals or don't like the metal braces, we have also ceramic braces. The ceramic braces, they are less visible. It's very popular. We do have patients who do modeling, who have do photo shoot, who have profession, they do photo shoot, they would prefer to have the ceramic braces. In addition to that, for individuals.
So here in this video, you're able to see that this doctor is giving different types of options for what is the best type of brace, whether it's ceramic, whether it's traditional metal, or whether it's going straight into a clear liner. We're able to offer and position some type of value here, whether it's a free treatment plan preparation or free 3D digital scan, flexible payment plans, maybe even $1,000 off their comprehensive orthodontic treatment if they elect to come and become a patient of ours. And we're also giving them many options. Invisalign, clear braces, traditional metal braces. At all times on this landing page, we are giving them the option to request a consultation with us. And as they navigate the page, maybe they need to see some reviews. And then we also position 4 very strong testimonials here from real patients that have seen incredible results coming to orthodontics in Woodland Hills. If I click this consultation, we have the phone, email, and the name. And then once this gets booked in on our Dentist Nerds Boost platform, someone from the front office or the doctor themselves will see that that lead just came in, engage with that lead, and hopefully that lead becomes a patient. So this is a great way to directly target patients who maybe haven't expressed exact search for Invisalign braces, but know that they could benefit from them. And so this is an example of how we effectively use advertising dollars in order to funnel them into what's called a landing page here. So as I've said before, Google is really good at capitalizing on people who are searching directly for things. But on other platforms, we can have more of an exposure strategy where we focus on people who are not directly searching for treatment, but are potentially very good, viable candidates for that treatment. Next, we're going to talk about social media and why it matters. Social media is going to become probably the biggest player in dental marketing if it's not there already. It's also the most cost-effective way to increase patient practice visibility. When I say social media, I'm talking about organic social media, meaning non-sponsored posts, non-boosted posts. And the other thing about social media is when you run social media and you run social media advertising at the same time, that's a really killer combo because the organic social media posts are actually going to help convert the patients that maybe saw your ad and didn't book immediately to come in at the same time when we're running ads, we are exposing our normal organic social media platforms as well. So social media is becoming a must. So if you're a new provider, you haven't been around for a long time, you're in very competitive areas, social media is probably the most effective way to date in order to capitalize on expanding into new markets. Next, let's understand a little bit of the jargon of what type of content does very well on different platforms. So you have to be thinking constantly that there's different demographics on each platform and there's a different goal with each platform. And since we're in orthodontics right here, we have the ability to reach patients who are very young. So that's the benefit of probably to date, the number one platform is TikTok. I know that for a lot of people that are in the Gen X and above, TikTok is not super common. But if you talk to any high schooler right now, they're not really spending that much time on Instagram. In fact, they're spending a majority of their time on TikTok just because it has probably the trendiest content with the highest amount of engagement. So if you're thinking about how do I attract teenagers? How do I attract young patients who will tell their parents this is exactly where I want to get my ortho treatment? There's really nowhere better than TikTok. Facebook is where we get into the older generations. And then when it comes to orthodontics, it's not really my preferred place to market. But when it comes to, replacements of teeth, when it comes to perio and prost, absolutely Facebook plays a huge role in that market. And when it comes to Instagram and TikTok, what makes them really different is how visual those are. So, patient journeys, before and afters. This is where I see TikTok and Instagram kind of playing the biggest role, especially when we're looking for a younger consumer market. YouTube is terrific when it comes to educational content. So if you're explaining treatment and you want to have patients know that you're an absolute expert in the field, that's where YouTube vlogs, educational content are going to do really well. So next, I'll talk a little bit about how do you strategize for every single patient demographic. So when it comes to Gen X and baby boomers, those type of patients are much more willing to read and they're much more willing to engage on Facebook. Whereas Gen Z and millennials, you'll see them actually care a lot more for the visual component of looking at ortho before and afters and ortho content. What the main thing is that everybody wants to have some transparency on how much the cost of things will be. If you are going to win by cost, then cost is going to be something that you talk about a lot. If you have a really nice practice, a great staff, and you have micro influencers, we'll get into that in a bit, you may be able to raise your prices differently than the ones that are trying to market and compete by cost. And that's true in that I like my practices to win by value instead of cost. I like my practices that I manage to win by giving patients the absolute best experience that they can have compared to any other ortho option around them. Next, I'll talk about the what I call them the six horsemen. So the six horsemen are YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Out of all of these, the one that tends to have the most volatility is probably X because X is very much so geared towards text, same as LinkedIn. It's also geared towards text. But the main thing you'll notice is that all of these platforms are starting to become very much so engaging with short form video content, which was kind of pioneered by TikTok. So nowadays, when you go on YouTube, they call it a YouTube short. When you go on Meta, which is Facebook or Instagram, they're calling that a reel. And then I think LinkedIn also calls it a short. And X is starting to implement more and more video as their target. So videos are becoming really important. And especially when it comes to orthodontics practices, we're looking at marketing towards young consumers, which is where Instagram and TikTok are great options. We're also looking to market towards millennials, which might have children that are in the age range where they're looking at getting orthodontic treatment. And that's where YouTube could be effective and Facebook as well. I'm going to do a couple case studies. This is probably one of my favorite TikTok influencers. This is Dr. Grant Collins. He has branded himself as the braces guy. And Dr. Grant Collins was very early when it came to adopting TikTok. And those who were early to adopting it have seen incredible results. His content is really geared towards younger generations. And he found success by having a mix of videos and comedy skits and creative posts. He has 4.6 million followers on TikTok, and he's based in a small town of Rochester, Minnesota. As you can imagine, Dr. Collins has such a big following that he doesn't have to work with any insurances because people are willing to fly to see him very frequently all the way in Rochester, Minnesota to work with him because he has such a strong presence. I'm going to show you this is Dr. Collins' social media. This is his TikTok. And a lot of the times he is taking a look at other patients and kind of breaking down some of the issues and some of the pain that they might have and how to better fix these treatments and giving a little bit of his personal life glimpse as well. So people feel very comfortable with Dr. Collins because he's willing to be so transparent about his personal life. Next, I also wanted to let you guys know that per video, Dr. Collins, it's been said that he makes about 7,500 to 11,300 per TikTok post. So he's essentially closing a case 4 times a week just on TikTok. Next, you might know this guy. He's very famous. He is the Bentist, the number one biggest influencer on all of social media for in the dentistry realm is an orthodontist. He has about 1 million followers on Instagram, but he has about 15 million on TikTok. And what he does to make this absorbent amount of money is one, he is constantly reviewing products. Two, he'll go on live and he'll start essentially talking about products. And during the live session, he'll be converting patients to use certain types of Oral B appliances or certain types of dental floss. And at the same time, he's getting commissioned because people are constantly sending in donations. It is virtually impossible to get a consultation with the dentist who's out in Plano, Texas. So I wanted you to know that orthodontists seem to do really well on social media, and I think it's because they have the most before and afters, and they tend to be younger, and people are constantly looking for the aesthetic side of dentistry. So when this guy posts, every post on TikTok is generating 1 million, 2 million, and he's making a lot of money outside of just running a dental practice. So next, I'll talk about trends on social media. Visual content is king. So if you run a practice, you need to be getting before and afters all the time. You need to be explaining and showing the treatments that you do. You should also be highlighting the team culture. The question is, what type of video quality should I be using? If it's social media, then I think you could get away with the iPhone quality as long as you have as long as you have good lighting, perhaps a mic. If you're taking before and afters, then that's when you probably want to invest in a DSLR, get a really, really high quality, crisp before and after. Next, I think leveraging local influencers is really important. And then talking about different options, whether it's clear aligners or braces. So this is one of our clients, Gardena Dental Group, and this is their TikTok. This video right here did about 22,000 views. And something like this, where people are just seeing themselves getting braces for the very first time, it helps them overcome a lot of trauma and a lot of anxiety they might have about coming into the orthodontist and getting braces done. So we found that these types of video content, where it's just recording of the actual treatment itself, can help people overcome anxiety and choose you to be their provider over all of the other ortho options. And then lastly, we like to use a lot of behind the scenes. So talking with people that work at the practice, talking with the doctors, the associates, the assistants, Q&As is also very helpful. And on TikTok, you have the ability to make a video that responds to a comment as well. Next, I want to bring up an account. This is Invisalign. A lot of people don't know, but Invisalign themselves are getting very involved in TikTok. So they haven't seen as much traction on YouTube or on the other platforms as they have on TikTok. Since they started, their primary Invisalign account is at 175,000 followers, but they create an account for every country. So they have Invisalign Brazil, Invisalign Italy, Invisalign UK. So if you know that Invisalign, the company, is investing a lot of its resources into TikTok, why shouldn't you? You should be doing the same. You should be following exactly what the clear aligner companies are trying to do by creating short form video content. And 2 years ago, they had a campaign called Stay Clear of Drama that showcased just how easy it was to use their aligners. And they actually really lean into influencer marketing, which we're going to talk a lot, which we're going to talk about as well. So this is what are the revenue potentials of using social media? I mean, now what we're going to see more than ever is the use of micro influencers. So before, people would pay an absorbent amount of money to have someone who has a very big reputation and to have them talk about the practice, come into the practice. But nowadays, what we're seeing is that more people are electing to get small local micro influencers, like 1,000 to 10,000 followers, to boost their local visibility. Because when you post on Instagram and TikTok, a lot of the times you can geotag the location. So if people are in the local area, regardless if they're looking for ortho, they might even be seen from that. So here's an example of how we leverage influencers. And I'm going to show you right here. This is an example of a video done by the Royalty family, which has a really big presence on YouTube. And they made a video about their son's extreme makeover. And here I'll have the video run around here. The child, the son, is coming into the practice and has a video talking about his experience with Dr. Zarania of orthodontics in Woodland Hills. And this video, which was released, not even a year ago, generated 19 million views. So you're getting 19 million views for the practice. And you can imagine how many people are looking to see, wow, I think that this was a great example of braces, and I would love my child to also partake in this. How do I get information on this practice and where they did their braces in? And then if you scroll to the comment section, you'll have a lot of comments asking where their son did braces. And you can respond to them as long as you have worked out if you have that permission from the influencer that you're working with. So, influencer marketing and virality is becoming a very large trend that everyone should be trying to take advantage of. So, next, I want to talk a little bit about advertising as well. And I want to think in your head, always think about ROI, right? We say in dental marketing that a good cost per lead, and this is lead, so it's not call. A lot of people conflate the two. A lead is someone who filled out their information and is ready to become an appointment. So we say that a good cost per lead is about $100. I'm sure anyone here would pay $100 to have someone come in and appoint. So if we spend $1,000 and we generate 10 leads, and your cost of treatment is, let's say, $5,000, you spend 1,000 and you only convert one, you already earned your money. You already got your ROI. You already converted just 1 out of 10. And 1 out of 10 is a very low conversion rate. So as long as you have high quality videos and high quality assets, absolutely, it's a good idea to yield and take advantage of advertising on social media platforms. And I think that that's a much better ROI than trying to advertise through direct mailers or through billboards or through Yelp, which you don't really know if you're getting an ROI from those. You want to go where people are spending time on their phone. That's ultimately what I'd like everyone to take advantage of and learn from this. So, next, let's talk about some of the challenges in orthodontic marketing. Ortho marketing is very hard. Orthodontics is one of the hardest markets to really convert just because people have so many options. People work with their insurance providers to find the best option. A lot of people are looking to work with the provider that is maybe the cheapest or the most inexpensive. And that's where you have to come in and position your practice as a higher quality practice. And you're going to do that by earning their trust, by posting content, by letting the audience know that the doctor truly does care and the doctor is willing to get in front of a camera. You have to nurture the audience so that they know this is the right place to go. A lot of the times they don't make their decision immediately in the ortho world because they're not convinced themselves that they're a candidate for Invisalign. And a lot of the times they have embarrassment about the way that their teeth look. So if we can find a way to nurture them and consistently post, they might one day decide after 4 or 5 times seeing your videos or seeing your ads that they do want to come in. And then, it'll be on your front staff to go ahead and get them appointed. Quality is really important. Focus on before and afters 100%, focus on patient experiences, and focus on addressing common questions that people might have about their orthodontic treatment. Really focus on being a strong brand, not just a strong influential doctor, and focus on authenticity and value. So, in conclusion, with the growth of orthodontics, there's also going to be increased competition. And we're here to help you come up with a strategy on how to grow your ortho practice. And a lot of that, if you haven't done marketing before, I recommend that we can start with just working on your branding, working on your web design, all the things that don't require you to be in front of the camera. But in the long run, if you want to do very well with your practice and you want to have a lot of market share, it's going to be really important for you to invest in making high quality videos and probably positioning a lot of your marketing on social media too. So if you'd like to get in contact with me, this is a QR code that you can scan and we can have a conversation one on one where I'll be walking you through the steps that you can take to help grow your ortho practice. Doesn't matter what stage you're in. And then we can also do a personalized demo of how our systems work. And if you'd like to get in touch, you can text the phone number 442-320-2901, or you can scan the QR code. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you all soon.